The silent saboteurs in your vocabulary. Most people imagine that life is destroyed by grand disasters. The job you lost, the relationship that fell apart, the big betrayal you never saw coming. But the truth is far quieter, far more insidious. Your life is not undone in a single blow. It is eroded, drip by drip, by the words you repeat to yourself and to others. Phrases. Small, ordinary, everyday phrases that feel harmless, even casual, yet they carry the weight of anchors. You say them without thinking. You shrug them off as just words. But language is not neutral. It is a seed, and every seed grows. What you speak becomes what you think. What you think becomes what you believe. And what you believe becomes the life you end up living, for better or worse. In my years studying human behavior, philosophy, and success psychology, I've found that the fastest way to see where someone's life is headed is to listen to the words they use daily. People are often programming their own downfall without realizing it, like a computer running background code that slowly corrupts the system. These phrases I'm about to teach you are not shouted in anger. They're whispered in passing. They sound reasonable, even mature. But they are traps. They subtly tell your mind, give up before you start. Settle for less. Don't expect better. You're not worthy. And when you say them often enough, your subconscious stops trying to prove you wrong. It accepts them as truth. If you want to change your life, you must start with the most basic building block of your reality, your language. Because your words are not simply communication. They are commands to your brain, instructions to your future. Over the next 15 phrases, I'm going to break down. 1. Why each one is dangerous. 2. The psychology behind why we say it. 3. How to replace it with language that empowers rather than destroys. By the end, you'll not only recognize the words that quietly sabotage your progress, you will have the tools to rewire your speech, shift your beliefs, and quite literally reshape your reality. So, listen carefully. Your future is listening to every word you speak. Comment below. What part of today's affirmation, what you think you become, resonated with you most deeply? Why do you think it struck a chord? Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you're serious about changing the way you think and showing up as your highest self every single day, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss your daily mental reset. Chapter 1. Speaking before. Thinking. The right word may be effective, but no word was ever as effective as a rightly timed pause. Mark Twain. There's a dangerous urge that lives inside most people, the urge to fill silence with words. We feel pressure in conversations, especially in public settings, to respond quickly, to have an opinion, to make our voice heard. And while confidence is admirable, reckless speech is not. Every time you speak without thinking, you roll the dice on your own credibility. In a private setting, you might be forgiven for saying something awkward or unpolished. But in public, where multiple eyes and ears are tuned to your words, one wrong sentence can echo far beyond the moment. Think of the leader who blurts out a half-formed thought in a press interview, only to watch it get twisted, shared, and mocked online. Think of the employee who interrupts a meeting with an emotional rant, instantly erasing months of being seen as level-headed. Words are permanent, even in a supposedly casual setting. In a world where smartphones are always ready to record, a thoughtless joke, a careless insult, or a poorly timed opinion can live forever. The mistake here isn't speaking, it's speaking without calculation. Great communicators know the power of the pause. They know that silence is not weakness, but strategy. Before they speak, they run a quiet mental checklist. Is what I'm about to say true? Is it necessary? Is it worth the risk of misinterpretation? Respectable people aren't those who never say the wrong thing. They're the ones who discipline themselves to speak only when their words serve a purpose. How to avoid this mistake? Train yourself to embrace pauses. Take a breath before answering. Buy yourself a few seconds to shape your thoughts. And when in doubt, choose silence. It's a rare currency in a noisy world, and those who master it command more authority than those who never stop talking. Chapter 2. Public outbursts of emotion. A man who is a master of patience is master of everything else. George Savile. One of the fastest ways to dismantle your own authority is to lose control of your emotions in front of an audience. Anger, frustration, desperation. Even desperation disguised as overexcitement. Each can rob you of the composed, grounded presence that earns respect. In private, emotion can be intimate, even humanizing. But in public, especially in professional or leadership spaces, uncontrolled emotion is a signal that you are not in command of yourself. And if you can't command yourself, why should anyone trust you to command a situation? Imagine two scenarios. In the first, a manager in a corporate meeting gets blindsided with criticism. Instead of breathing through it, they raise their voice, turn red, and attack back. The room falls silent, not out of respect, but out of discomfort. In the second, a similar criticism is delivered to another leader. They sit still, they listen, they nod. And then they respond with a voice so steady, it's like they've already processed the blow before it landed. The difference in perception is night and day. Public outbursts, whether it's yelling, crying uncontrollably, slamming objects, or storming out, don't just hurt your reputation in the moment. They stick to you. People will remember you as the one who lost it that day, and that memory will shadow future interactions. This isn't to say you should be emotionless. The problem isn't feeling emotions. It's allowing them to take the wheel while everyone is watching. How to avoid this mistake? Train emotional discipline the same way you would train physical strength. In tense situations, buy yourself time by slowing your breathing. If necessary, excuse yourself briefly before responding. Develop anchor phrases you can repeat silently. Simple reminders like, stay composed, or slow is smooth, smooth is fast. The most respected people in the room are often not the loudest, but the most controlled. They radiate steadiness, especially under pressure. And when the storm passes, people remember not just what was said, but who stayed unshaken. Chapter 2. I'll try. At first, I'll try sounds positive. It feels like willingness. It's the polite cousin of no, a way of avoiding full commitment while still sounding agreeable. But when you listen closely, I'll try often means I'm already planning not to succeed, but I don't want to say that out loud. Why it's dangerous. I'll try is not a plan. It's an emotional loophole. It gives your brain permission to fail before you even begin, because trying does not require accountability. Think about it. If someone asks, "Will you come to my party?" and you say, "I'll try," you've already decided it's unlikely. If you tell yourself, "I'll try to start going to the gym," your subconscious already hears, "This isn't a priority, so we'll stop when it gets inconvenient." This is the illusion of effort, a mental trick that makes you feel like you've committed when you haven't. The psychology behind saying it. We use "I'll try" to protect ourselves from the pain of failure. If we fail after saying "I'll try," it's easy to shrug and say, "Well, I never promised." It's self-preservation, but it's also self-sabotage. The mind loves safety, but safety often kills progress. Real growth comes from commitments that make you slightly afraid. because those are the ones that require real effort and follow-through. How to replace it? Instead of saying, "I'll try," choose language that shows ownership. Yes, I will. No, I won't. I'm committed to doing this. And if you're genuinely unsure, be honest. I'm not ready to commit to that right now. This kind of honesty creates clarity for you and everyone around you. It also builds a personal reputation for being decisive rather than evasive. Key takeaway: stop trying, start deciding. Chapter 3. It's not fair. Few phrases are as seductive and as dangerous as "it's not fair." It's the rallying cry of the frustrated, the disappointed, and the overlooked. Yes, injustice is real. Yes, life can be brutally uneven. But here's the hard truth. Complaining about fairness changes nothing, and it often keeps you powerless. Why it's dangerous. When you repeat "it's not fair," you put your focus on what you can't control. You lock your mind into the role of a victim. And while the unfair thing might be true, this mindset freezes you in place because your energy is going into lamenting instead of acting. Worse, "it's not fair" tricks the brain into believing that you can't move forward until the unfairness is corrected. But the world rarely delivers perfect fairness. If you wait for it, you will wait forever. The psychology behind saying it. Humans are wired for fairness. Studies show even toddlers will protest if one child gets more candy than another. This is called inequity aversion, and it's deeply ingrained. But in adulthood, constantly naming life's unfairness becomes a habit, one that feels righteous, but is really just a way to avoid responsibility for finding solutions. The brain clings to fairness because it feels morally safe. It allows you to say, "I'm not where I want to be, but it's not my fault." Unfortunately, this robs you of the very power you need to change things, your belief that you can still win despite the odds. How to replace it? Instead of "it's not fair," try "it's not ideal, but here's how I'm going to adapt." The odds aren't in my favor, but I'll find a way. This is my reality. I'll work with what I have. Fairness is not guaranteed, but resourcefulness is always an option. Key takeaway: fairness is a luxury. Progress is a choice. Don't wait for the world to be fair. Outgrow it. Chapter 4. It's too late for me. If there is one phrase that has crushed more dreams than failure itself, it's this one. It's too late for me. It's a soft surrender, a quiet folding of the cards, and it's almost never true. Why it's dangerous. When you say "it's too late," you shut down possibility. You tell your subconscious, "Don't bother looking for options. They don't exist." The most dangerous part? This phrase is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The moment you decide it's too late, you stop taking the small actions that could have made it possible. You stop applying for opportunities. You stop learning new skills. You stop imagining a different future. And the irony is brutal. You make it too late by believing it. The psychology behind saying it. We often use this phrase to avoid the discomfort of starting over, beginning something new, whether it's a career change, a fitness journey, or healing from a toxic relationship, can make you feel behind compared to others. And the human ego hates feeling behind. So instead of admitting, "I'm scared to be a beginner," we say, "It's too late." It sounds tragic, but dignite. Chapter 5. I don't have a choice. Few phrases are as paralyzing to the human spirit as this one. I don't have a choice. It sounds logical when you say it. It feels like you're simply acknowledging reality. But in most cases, this sentence is not truth. It's surrender. It's the quiet way people hand over their power without a fight. Why it's dangerous. When you believe you have no choice, you stop looking for options. Your mind shuts down its creative problem-solving abilities. You move from being a participant in your life to being a bystander. In reality, almost every situation has more than one option, but not every option is comfortable. And that's the real reason people say, "I don't have a choice." They mean, "I don't like the options I have, so I'll pretend they don't exist." The psychology behind saying it. This phrase often appears when the cost of change feels too high. We tell ourselves we're trapped, so we can avoid the pain of making a hard decision. Psychologists call this learned helplessness, when you've convinced yourself you're powerless, even when you're not. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "You may fetter my leg, but my will, not even Zeus himself can overpower." He understood something profound. Our circumstances may limit our actions, but they cannot strip us of the power to choose our attitude and response. How to replace it? Instead of, "I don't have a choice," try, "These are my options. None of them are easy, but I'll choose one. I may not control everything, but I control my next step. I don't like the choices, but I refuse to be powerless." When you name your options, even the ugly ones, you reclaim agency. You move from victimhood to authorship, and that shift alone can alter the course of your life. Key takeaway: you always have a choice. The question is, will you choose courage over comfort? Chapter 6. I'll be happy when. If there were a phrase that could keep you perpetually unsatisfied, forever chasing and never arriving, it's this one. I'll be happy when. It sounds hopeful, like a plan for a brighter future. But underneath, it's a declaration that happiness lives outside of you, forever dependent on something you don't yet have. Why it's dangerous. When happiness is conditional, it's never secure. You might finally reach the milestone, get the job, lose the weight, buy the house, and feel happy for a week, until your brain moves the goalpost and says, "Okay, now I'll be happy when." This is called the hedonic treadmill, the psychological phenomenon where humans adapt quickly to positive changes, and their happiness levels return to baseline. In other words, if you can't be content now, you won't be content later. The psychology behind saying it. We tell ourselves, "I'll be happy when," to justify delaying joy. We think withholding happiness will motivate us to work harder, but it actually trains the mind to postpone satisfaction indefinitely. As Seneca warned, while we wait for life, life passes. And the Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh echoed the same truth. There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. Both understood that joy must be cultivated now, in imperfect conditions, or it will never be fully felt. How to replace it. Instead of, "I'll be happy when," try, "I can be happy now and still want more. Gratitude is my fuel, not my reward. I choose joy in the journey, not just the destination." This is not about pretending you're satisfied with mediocrity. It's about realizing that happiness is not the prize at the end of the road. It's the energy that carries you along it. Key takeaway: if you can't be happy before you arrive, you won't be happy when you do.